I am about to ask you a few questions, and if you're able to say yes to each of those questions, then congratulations, you are ready to take the upcoming SAT. Here comes question number 1. Are you comfortable with the format? It's very easy to say yes, but answer me this. How many craft and structure questions are you going to encounter in the SAT? Don't know the answer? That means you're not really comfortable with the format. Or let me present you with another question. What is the fourth question of the second section of the math test going to be? If you fumbled while answering any of these questions, time to go back to, you guessed it right, the format of the test. Take a test paper, look at all the questions, figure out which section they are from, which topic they are going to be talking about, and then come back to the video and see if you can answer my questions. If you are able to, then bingo, we move on to question number 2. Are you a master of the content? Do you have the content mastery required to ace the SAT? What do you mean by content mastery? Do you know what kind of questions you get? I'm not talking about the format, but we are talking about craft and structure questions. We are talking about language questions. We are talking about data equivalence questions. Do you know what are the question types that you're going to face? And number 2, do you have all the strategies that are needed for each of these question types ready with you? And are you a master of each of these strategies? Let's say the main idea question. So if you have a main idea question, how are you going to tackle it? Do you have strategies ready for all kinds of questions, be it an easy question or a slightly more challenging question or a very challenging question? If you've said no to any of these sub-questions, it means you're still not a master of the content. So, time to brush up on these areas. Ready? If you've answered yes to all my previous questions, then welcome to question number 3. This is about practice test performance. So how is your practice test performance? Now, you can't say a yes or a no, but then there are 2 areas that you need to focus on. What are those 2 areas? Let's keep the first one simple. How are your scores like? And that is easy, but it does not answer the entire thing. The next question is, how many questions did you attempt? Now, this is again a layered question. Now, in the SAT, there is no negative marking, but it is very important that you remember 2 things. Number 1, your section 2 and how difficult it is going to be is dependent on how you perform in section 1. And because this is adaptive, it is very, very important that you attempt all the questions in section 1 and attempt them correctly. So let's start with section number 1. How many questions are you able to attempt and how many right answers are you getting? Now, to answer all the questions right, you need strategy. And to answer all the questions within time, you need speed. But to be able to do both of these together, you need something else. That is our next question. On to question 4. Do you have the test-taking stamina? What do you mean by stamina? Your brain is working hard on strategy and it is going to burn a lot of calories, and you are going to have to sustain that ability for a good 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours and 14 minutes to be very precise. And to be able to do that, you need to be ready for that level of concentration and that level of focus. So how do you ensure stamina? It's not enough that you practice. You need to practice the right way. So what do you mean by practicing the right way? It's not enough that you take a set of questions. You need to get ready both physically and mentally to tackle the full-length tests. How do you do that? You start off with a single section and do it without any breaks. And then you slowly build upon, and you should be at a place where taking a full-length practice test in one sitting without any distractions is going to be a cakewalk. And that 2 hour 14 minutes should pass without any distractions, with a focus and intensity that is unflagging all through the test. And if you're able to do that, you are most of the way through. And if you say, yes, I have the test-taking stamina. We can now move on to the next question. Are you analyzing your mistakes? It's not enough to know that you're going wrong. It's not enough to know how many right answers you're getting and how many wrong answers you're getting. You need to make an in-depth analysis. And what do you mean by an in-depth analysis? You should know where exactly you're going wrong and why. It's not enough to simply say that many of my mistakes are in the grammar section. You should know which aspects of grammar you're going wrong in. For instance, are most of your mistakes in the appositives? Are they related to subject-verb agreements or are they related to tenses? If you do not have this information, it's time to go back to each of the tests that you've practiced before. Take a look at the questions where you've gone wrong and which aspect of either the language or mathematics these questions belong to. Till you have this analysis, you're not ready. So, what do you mean by analyzing your mistakes? You should be able to tell us, your trainers, that this is one area that I'm lacking in and this is the area that I need help in. This will allow you to really drill down into the core areas that you need help in, and this will enhance your score to no end. You've come this far, you're very close. One final question. Are you consistent? And like all the other questions, this question too is layered. What do you mean by consistency? Consistency means that you're scoring the score that you want, not just in one test, but across a set of tests that are spaced apart. If you take a math test and you get a full score today, don't take another math test. If you want to take another math test, don't do it tomorrow. Take it a week later. And if your scores in both the math tests are exactly the same, then your scores are consistent. And right now, we're not worried about whether the scores are great or bad. We are first aiming for consistency. Once your scores are consistent, you know that it's not a fluke and you're genuinely at that level. And till what level do you practice? You first get to a score that you want and then repeat the test, not the same one obviously, a week later. And if you're still around the same score, it means that you are consistent. And if you've said yes to each of these questions, well, like we said at the very beginning, congratulations are in order. Now that you know how to check for preparedness, tell me, are you ready or do you need more help? And like us, if you really love your friends, share this video with your friends and good luck. See you in the next one.